Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to 8th Street Northeast in wonderful Ward 6. Today, I'm joined by the Director of the District's Department of Transportation, Jeff Meridian, a lot of neighbors and friends from 8th Street Northeast and all around Washington, D.C. I'm also joined by the Director of my Office on Veterans Affairs, Elliot Domingo. As you may remember, it was almost 3 years ago to the day, on February the 27th, 2016, that we were here on 8th Street celebrating the launch of DC Streetcar. That day was a long time in coming. The residents and businesses of Ward 6 waited for the district to get the streetcar right and to begin to pick up passengers. It was one of the questions I got asked the most during my first year in office. Residents and reporters would say, when is the streetcar going to open? When is the streetcar going to get moving? And I would always say, when it's ready and when it's safe. And today we can look back on that day, 3 years later, and see what a success the DC streetcar has been. We said at the start of the project that it would spur economic development along the corridor, and we can see that it has done exactly that. Just a few weeks ago, in fact, I was just one block over cutting the ribbon on a 100% affordable housing development on 8th Street with 33 units of deeply affordable housing in the midst of these wonderful amenities. That project makes me proud in the same way that streetcar makes me proud and shows our commitment to DC's values of building vibrant neighborhoods throughout the district so that all residents have a fair shot and benefit from the progress we're making throughout our city. Already, DC Streetcar has provided free rides to over 3 million passengers, 3 million people, and we're not stopping there. Right now, the Benning Road extension is in the design process. This extension will connect residential neighborhoods in Ward 7 to the current streetcar route, giving more residents access to jobs, entertainment, and amenities right here on 8th Street. But today is not just about the streetcar. In January, I announced that as we look for new ways to enhance our transportation network and provide more safe, affordable, and reliable transportation options to residents and visitors, that we were going to make the DC Circulator free for riders. Today, I am proud to announce that we will be expanding those free rides through the month of March. We've heard from residents who use the circulators to get to and from work that saving $1 each way is putting money back in their pockets that allow them to take care of more necessities at home. And that brings me to my next announcement, and that's why we've been joined by the Office of Veterans Affairs. As you know, I'm always charging my team with coming up with ways to give more Washingtonians a fair shot. I asked them to think broadly about how we do this, whether it's through jobs, housing, education, or transportation, whatever we can do as a government to make it easier for residents to thrive in our city. I'm happy today to announce that DDOT and the Office of Veterans Affairs have partnered to provide one free year of Capital Bike Share memberships to DC veterans. The D.C. Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs is the first government agency to join the Capital Bike Share Community Partners Program. This program provides significantly discounted membership to Capital Bike Share through local nonprofits in an effort to make cycling more accessible. Veterans can find more information about taking advantage of this program on mayor.dc.gov. And before I bring up Director Meridian to share some of the details about the program, I want to make one last point. As you see, we have some community members and stakeholders here with a message for WMATA. Over the past weeks, I've made it very clear that district residents need Metro to keep its commitment to restoring full rail service by July 1st. Their existing commitment says that they will start on July 1st. Our community has been very patient with the system, and we have been very generous with providing the resources that WMATA needs. As our colleagues in Montgomery and Prince George's County told WMATA recently, our residents and businesses have now made sacrifices for 2 years in order to provide ample time for maintenance. It's now time to win back our riders and restore the hours that we need in our region. If Metro cannot commit to restoring full service on July 1, then we need a firm date for when they think those hours could be restored. As we can see here today, the district is doing a fantastic job providing residents with a range of safe and affordable options, but we can't do it alone. We need safe and reliable affordable Metro to serve all of the residents, workers, and visitors of the District of Columbia. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor Bowser. I am very excited to be here with you, Mayor, to celebrate the success of the DC streetcar and all of these exciting transit initiatives that you just announced. Today's announcements reinforce our commitment in the Bowser administration to creating a multimodal transportation network that is affordable, that is reliable, and most importantly, that is safe for our residents and visitors. In the last 3 years, the DC streetcar has come to be a popular option for residents and visitors to the H Street corridor and surrounding neighborhoods. We are excited to be working towards expanding the system eastward in the coming years. And as our city continues to grow, we at DDOT are working hard to ensure that our transit options grow along with it. I am particularly proud that we are also at the forefront of making cycling accessible to all Washingtonians. Through the Capital Bike Share Community Partners Program, we aim to try to remove some of the barriers to cycling in the district. I'm excited to add the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs to the 30 community partners with whom we already work within the district. Through this program, our 1,350 community members have taken collectively more than 157,000 trips on Capital Bike Share in the past 3 years. We are also particularly excited, Mayor, that you've announced that you'll be extending free circulator service through the month of March. And what we'd like to do is present you with a fair shot ticket to signify the benefit that we've been able to provide to our residents and visitors through free circulator.
All right.
And it's now my pleasure to turn it over to a member of our community, Mac Jennings, Marine Corps veteran, current student at George Washington University, and future Capital Bike Share member. Mac.
Thanks, Mac.
Good afternoon. As mentioned, my name is Mac Manning. I am the program manager at George Washington University's Military and Veteran Services. I'm also a United States Marine Corps veteran and a student at George Washington University as well. George Washington University's Military and Veteran Services is an office that's dedicated to supporting the GW military-affiliated community between educational benefits, community building, mental health, and academic success. This includes over 1,800 military-affiliated students at the university and in the D.C. community. The D.C. Mayor's Office has been a strong supporter of GW's military-affiliated community, and George Washington's Military and Veteran Services is especially excited about the Capital Bike Share program that is being introduced today. One of the biggest obstacles to an individual's educational success is transportation limitations. Thanks to Mayor Bowser and her staff, we are now one step closer to making education and other services more accessible to veterans in this community. Without any further delay, I would like to turn it over back to Mayor Morel Bowser to talk more about this wonderful program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so happy birthday to the streetcar. Go Capital Bike Share and keep Metro open. Any questions?
Are you asking DC's
Metro board members...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Are you asking DC's Metro board members to oppose any plan that wouldn't bring back full service? And if so, are you willing to risk $1.6 billion in federal funding for the region?
I think my position is clear. We need the Metro to support the hours that the region needs.
Without a firm date, do you want them to oppose, any plan that wouldn't restore those hours?
Well, as you know, when they cut hours a couple of years ago, that plan was only meant to be in place for a couple of years, and it sunsets on June the 30th. Yes.
Mayor, I've talked to people up and down the street today about the streetcars, and one of the things is they don't think they really go places that people really want to go.
Well, I think 3 million people would beg to differ, Sam.
Well, yeah, but let's compare it to the X2 bus or something like that. I mean, obviously, it's a lot. It's not that significant in a lot of ways. And the question is this going? How long are the free rides going to continue for the Metro, or is it possible to charge to keep this line
We
going?
expect to keep the DC streetcar free.
Forever. Forever, Mayor.
We expect to keep it free. I have no plans to charge for streetcar.
Mayor Bowser, back to the Metro hours debate.
Yes.
What do you expect? There's a big vote this Thursday about it. What do you expect the DC board members to do? How do you expect them to vote?
Metro to do a little bit more work on the proposals that they presented. I find it very curious that there has been very little discussion, debate, questioning, probing about why Metro hasn't been more efficient with the time and resources that it has. And that is, we have to demand that. We can't have a system that has demanded more money and it's gotten more money and refused to work more efficiently. We continue to be an outlier among major cities and closing its system down at 11:30 at night, and that's not acceptable.
Kind of breaking point for those hours to come back. Is there, in other words, is there any compromise that the district might be willing to make?
We have asked Metro to look at a number of alternatives. Yes, Mark.
I believe Commander Parsons is here to answer a couple questions about a shooting.
What's your question?
Well, there was a shooting last month across the street a few blocks away inside an Ethiopian restaurant. Police have released surveillance video of. I guess we'd like your reaction to yet another senseless shooting, an argument that turned violent because somebody had a gun, and then whatever narrative the commander can give us.
I'm going to ask the commander to talk about the facts.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Commander Leslie Parsons of the Criminal Investigations Division for MPD. So on January 27, 2019, shortly after midnight, officers from our 1st District responded to the 800 block of H Street Northeast for the report of a shooting. So upon arriving on the scene, officers discovered an adult male who was inside of an establishment suffering from gunshot wounds. The victim was transported to a local hospital for treatment and is recovering from his injuries. The detective's investigation revealed there was a dispute inside of the establishment prior to the shooting. During the dispute, a male suspect brandished a firearm and shot the victim multiple times, then physically assaulted the victim. The victim was assaulted again by a second male suspect. The third suspect in this case, an adult female, retrieved the firearm used in this shooting from the floor of the establishment, and all 3 suspects then fled the scene. So as you indicated earlier today, we released video footage which captured these 3 suspects. And we're asking anyone who can identify these individuals or who has knowledge of this offense to call our Command Information Center at 202-727-9099. And you can also send an anonymous text tip to our text tip line at 50411. And also note that the Metropolitan Police Department offers a reward of up to $10,000 for anyone who can provide information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the persons responsible for a shooting in the district. The victim is currently recovering from his injuries.
And then you've obviously reviewed this video. What's your reaction to this? The guy shot him once, but then shot him multiple, or continued to shoot as he was down on the ground, and then he kicked him and stomped him. Then his friend beat him with a bar stool. I mean, when you watch that video, What's your reaction?
Yeah, no, it's an absolutely horrible offense, which is why we have that video out there. We're asking the community to come forward and assist us in identifying these suspects.
And what do you have as far as a motive or leads?
All that's under investigation right now.
Have you been?
We know that there was some sort of dispute that had taken place inside the establishment, but everything is still under investigation.
And what was going on inside? Was it a private party, or was it did the restaurant convert from restaurant to after party late at night?
Yeah, it seems if there was a combination of events. I'm not exactly sure of the details of what was happening that night.
And were there witnesses? It looked like the place was pretty cleared out by the end of that video. Was there anybody still around to interview?
I mean, that's not something I would discuss at this time. All right, thank you.
Tom?
Mayor, the president wants to have a big event at the Lincoln Memorial on July the 4th. That day requires a lot, pardon my voice, that day requires a lot of public works and transportation work, police work in advance. What's your thoughts? What would you advise the president to do or not do on that day?
As I mentioned yesterday, we already have a very big event that the National Park Service puts on to celebrate the 4th of July and America's birthday. I think we have over 1 million people that come into the city or come from around the city on that day. And safety, of course, is our number one issue, making sure that the fireworks can go off, that the mall is set up safely, that the police resources that we use that are substantial can support that event and neighborhood safety at the same time. MPD is also called on when the president moves around the city to support the president in that way. So our discussions with them and organization, and I should say, we start preparations for the 4th of July many months out. And so all of those moving parts, especially with the fireworks, explosives being set off in a crowd of 1 million people, it can't be handled at the last minute. So what we will need to understand, and I'm not sure if we've got an official communication from them yet, is what exactly the plan is. My biggest recommendation would be to limit the movements, and so that they wouldn't require too much police resources.
That tweet from the president was a surprise to you.
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell us anything about plans to build the K Street streetcar?
We don't have anything beyond Union Station at this point. I think we still have an environmental underway. We're doing an environmental study to see how streetcar could progress westward, what route it would be, and what its termination point would be.
Is there a timeline for the one that would extend into Ward 7?
Yes, Jeff.
Yes, we are currently beginning the design process for the line, and we expect that we'll have revenue service in the 2024-2025 timeframe.
You say revenue service, you mean you're going to charge?
No, I mean operating service.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
A question: seeing this rising homicide rate this year. How are you seeing that? Are you seeing anything different this year compared to last year in terms of illegal guns or the scope of the problem and dealing with that issue?
I will say we are very committed to making sure we're identifying illegal guns and people who have demonstrated that they're willing to use them. And we're trying every strategy possible, including making sure that gun cases from people who are not allowed to carry.
Thanks.
Thank you.
A word of thanks for efforts of you and everyone involved in the Circulator, because I use it regularly. I find it to be very useful, particularly from Georgetown to DuPont or all the way across to Union Station. I personally use it almost every day.
All right, thank you.
I was actually surprised to see that we're getting this complimentary service, but I want to thank you and all the drivers that helped implement this, and obviously the mechanics behind the drivers and the people who designed the buses.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.